The relentless Australian sun beat down on the barren landscape, casting long, eerie shadows across the scrubland. The heat was oppressive, the air thick with the scent of dry earth and sparse vegetation. It was here, in the desolate outskirts of Truro, that a seemingly innocuous discovery would shatter the town's tranquility. The quiet, unassuming town was about to be thrust into the spotlight for all the wrong reasons. A lone hiker, drawn off the beaten path by curiosity, stumbled upon a sight that would forever etch itself into the annals of Australian crime. A human leg bone, bleached white by the unforgiving sun, lay half buried in the red dirt. The discovery was both shocking and surreal, a stark reminder of the fragility of life. The discovery sent shockwaves through the small community. This desolate stretch of land, typically undisturbed and silent, was now a crime scene. The residents, who had always felt safe in their remote corner of the world, were now gripped by fear and uncertainty. The bone, a solitary beacon of horror, whispered of a sinister act, a life brutally extinguished. It was a grim reminder that even in the most remote places, darkness could lurk. As police descended upon the area, a creeping sense of dread began to settle over Truro. The once peaceful town was now the epicenter of a chilling investigation. The gruesome find was not an isolated incident. It was the first chilling clue in a mystery that would expose the dark underbelly of the Australian outback. The vast open land that once symbolized freedom and adventure now seemed to hide untold secrets. The bone, meticulously examined by forensic experts, revealed a sinister tale. It belonged to a young woman, her identity shrouded in mystery. The experts worked tirelessly, piecing together the fragments of her story. The cause of death, though unclear, pointed towards a violent end. This was no accident, no natural passing. This was murder. The evidence suggested a brutal and deliberate act, leaving the community in a state of shock. The discovery of the bone was just the beginning, the first horrifying revelation in a case that would soon grip the nation. Investigators knew they were on the brink of uncovering something much larger and more sinister. As investigators fanned out across the area, scouring the unforgiving terrain for more clues, a sense of unease settled over Truro. The search was exhaustive, the tension palpable. The Outback, once a source of rugged beauty and solitude, now held a sinister edge, its silence pregnant with unspoken horrors. The landscape itself seemed to have changed, as if it too was mourning the loss of innocence. The town held its breath, bracing itself for what promised to be a long and harrowing journey into the heart of darkness. The residents knew that their lives would never be the same again, as the investigation peeled back the layers of their once peaceful existence. The victim, a young woman in her early 20s named Karen Edwards, had vanished without a trace months earlier. Her family and friends were left in a state of agonizing uncertainty, clinging to the hope that she might still be found. Her disappearance, initially treated as a missing persons case, now took on a sinister new meaning. The more the investigators dug, the more they realized that this was no ordinary case of a young woman gone astray. Karen, a free spirit with a contagious laugh and a thirst for adventure, had been traveling across Australia, documenting her journey in a worn, leather-bound journal. Her entries were filled with tales of breathtaking landscapes, encounters with wildlife, and the kindness of strangers she met along the way. Her last entry, filled with the vibrant hues of the Outback sunset and the thrill of exploring a new place, ended abruptly. It was as if her story had been cut off mid-sentence, leaving behind a haunting sense of incompletion. As investigators delved into Karen's life, they uncovered a string of other missing persons cases, all eerily similar in nature. Each case seemed to echo the same unsettling pattern: young women disappearing without a trace, their lives seemingly erased in an instant. Young women, drawn to the allure of the Outback, had vanished without a trace, their disappearances shrouded in mystery. The vast, untamed wilderness that once promised adventure and freedom now seemed to harbor a dark secret. The once disparate cases, linked by whispers and speculation, were now tragically intertwined, united by the chilling possibility of a shared fate. The investigators began to see a pattern, a sinister thread weaving through each disappearance. The victims, each with their own story, their own dreams, were united in their tragic end. Their lives, once full of promise and potential, were now reduced to mere statistics in a growing list of the missing. There was Joanne Ratcliffe, a bright-eyed teenager with a passion for photography, who disappeared from a crowded agricultural show, her camera, containing the last images she ever captured, never to be found. Her family was left with only memories and unanswered questions. And then there was Elizabeth Hayden, a quiet, introspective young woman traveling alone, seeking solace in the vastness of the Outback. Her last known contact, a postcard sent from a remote roadhouse. Her disappearance left a void in the hearts of those who knew her. Their stories, whispered in hushed tones, painted a chilling picture of lives cut short, of futures stolen. Each tale added to the growing sense of dread that permeated the region. As the list of victims grew, so too did the fear that gripped the region. The once vibrant and welcoming Outback communities now lived under a shadow of fear and suspicion. The vastness of the Outback, once a source of wonder and allure, now seemed menacing, its silence pregnant with the unspoken stories of those who had vanished without a trace. The land that once symbolized freedom and adventure had become a haunting reminder of the unknown dangers lurking in its depths. The disappearances, though spread across months and miles, bore a chillingly similar pattern, one that sent shivers down the spines of those who dared to look closer. Each victim was last seen in or around Truro, a sleepy town that served as a gateway to the vast expanse of the Australian outback, a place where the land stretches endlessly and secrets are easily buried. They were young women, traveling alone or in pairs, their paths converging in this desolate yet strangely alluring part of the world, drawn by the promise of adventure and the allure of the unknown. The disappearances followed a chilling rhythm, a pattern that seemed almost orchestrated in its precision. A young woman would arrive in Truro, her spirit brimming with the thrill of adventure, eager to lose herself in the raw beauty of the outback. She would explore the rugged terrain, her eyes wide with wonder and excitement. She would check into a hostel, send a postcard home, perhaps strike up a conversation with a local at the dusty roadside diner. And then, silence. The vibrant life she led would suddenly go dark, leaving behind a void that echoed with unanswered questions. Days would turn into weeks, weeks into months, and the missing women would fade into agonizing uncertainty. Families and friends would cling to hope, their lives overshadowed by the gnawing fear of the unknown. Their belongings would be found abandoned, a backpack left at a campsite, a half-written postcard on a dusty table, a lone hiking boot discarded by the side of a deserted road. These items, once symbols of their journey, now stood as silent witnesses to their mysterious fates. These haunting remnants served as painful reminders of the lives that had been abruptly cut short, of the future stolen by an unseen hand. Each item told a story of a life interrupted, a journey that ended too soon. The similarities in the disappearances were too striking to ignore. The patterns, the timing, the eerie consistency, all pointed to a sinister force at play. The victims, the locations, the eerie absence of struggle, all pointed towards a predator operating in the shadows. Someone who knew the outback like the back of their hand. Someone who could vanish without a trace, leaving behind nothing but a chilling void. This predator moved with a calculated precision, leaving no clues, no witnesses, only a trail of despair and unanswered questions. Please let me know if you'd like me to continue writing the essay. As the investigation dragged on, the silence from the killer was deafening. Each day without a lead, without a whisper of evidence, felt like an eternity for the families involved. The community held its breath, hoping for any news that could bring them closure. In the twists and turns of the case, every lead seemed promising at first. But as they followed the threads, each one unraveled into nothing more than false hope and dead ends. The frustration among the investigators was palpable, but they pressed on, knowing that giving up wasn't an option. As the investigation continued, a shadow of doubt began to cast itself over the town. Rumors swirled, trust eroded, and the once peaceful community found itself grappling with fear and suspicion. The impact of the crimes left the town haunted, not just by the brutality of the acts, but by the haunting question, who among us could be capable of such darkness? Every stranger's glance carried a story untold, every whisper a potential clue. The families of the victims were left with unanswered questions and unending grief. As years passed, the pain remained fresh, a reminder of the justice that still eluded them. Their quest for answers became a journey without end. In the quiet moments, the echoes of the past reverberated through the empty streets of Truro. The silence spoke volumes, carrying the weight of the unsolved mysteries that still haunted every corner of this small town.